What's going on, guys? Hope everyone had a great Christmas. Today we're going to be tying up a little fly. It's pretty much just a pheasant tail, but it's all pimped out. That's why it's called the icy pheasant tail. It's a cool little pattern. I've been tying with these hooks lately, these partridge, and I'm really liking them. This is a barbless check nymph hook. But yeah, I have a couple on back order that I'm going to be getting soon, so I'm going to start playing with those, and a lot of my next videos are going to be on these barbless hooks. So I'm going to get a hook secured in the vise here and get going with the tutorial. So the hook I have in the vise right now is a partridge. This is a Patriot barbless. This is the check nymph number 16. Their numbering system is a little bit different, I found out. This hook right here is actually equivalent to a size 10, so that's just one thing to remember when you are buying these hooks. They are a little bit different. I have a bunch more coming. I ordered a bunch through a shop, so I'm gonna start playing with those a little bit. One main thing I like about these, I don't know if they're on all the hooks or just the barbless ones, but the eyelet there's really nice and big. It's easier to tie in, as well as if you run a two fly rig, it's easy to tie in your dropper line right off this eyelet. That's what I usually do, because I don't like to tie it off the back or off my main line. So I usually just tie it right off the eyelet of the hook that I'm fishing. The bead on there is a 1/8 gold bead, and I've put some lead wire wraps, the lead free stuff. This is in .015, and I put about 10 wraps. The thread I'm going to be using is UTC 70 denier in black, and how we're going to start this is just right behind this lead. You want to make sure that lead is pushed up behind that eye, all nice and secure. I'm just going to take a couple wraps over the lead, just so it is sitting there, not going anywhere. Now I'm going to cut out my little tag in, and I'm going to take this thread down the shank a bit. Now I'm actually going to turn the hook. This is easier for me personally to tie in tails, and the tail section is going to be pheasant tail. This is dyed in an olive. Doesn't really look like an olive, but if you look at a natural, you can definitely tell. So for the tail, I like to use about 8 to 10 fibers here, and I like to pull them straight down just like so you keep the tips aligned. Then I'll just strip those off. Then I'm just going to come in with my scissors and just cut those off square, so they're a little bit easier to work with. I'm just going to put them right on top of the hook shank. Take 1, 2 little wraps there, and now I'm going to pull them to my desired length. And for this fly in particular, I like to keep them relatively short. I like to keep them about the same length as the hook gap. I see a lot of people when they tie nymphs and stuff, their tails are pretty long. I like to keep mine just about the size of the hook gap, and I think that's pretty much perfect. But it's all personal preference and whatever you feel confident in. So I'm just going to bring that pheasant tail up, and I'm going to wrap a couple wraps on the lead. Then what I'm going to do is pull it back and wrap back over it again. Now what this is going to do is just help build this taper body a bit. It's just going to fill in the gap I have from my lead. So I'm just going to take a couple more and just smooth that out a bit. And as you can see, it's a pretty nice taper so far. The next material I'm going to be tying in is the rib part. This is a stretch tubing by Wapsi. This is in a small size, and I like this particular tubing for these particular flies because it is hollow. You can get tubing that's a full, like so, but this one is hollow, And the reason why I like that is so when you're wrapping it, it will lay flat rather than this stuff. As you can see, when I pull down on it, it doesn't want to flatten. So if you want to make a fly that has more rib, you can get the full. But if you want to tie something like this, I would suggest getting this stuff by Wapsi because it is actually hollow inside. So I'm just going to tie that in, and when I tie it in, I'm going to tie it in, then I'm going to pull on it a bit, and what that does is just makes it slim. Keep the body nice and slim. And you don't want to go down all the way to the end of the body here because you're going to be wrapping it. So what I like to do is just kind of figure out how wide this tubing actually is when it's flat, then leave that. So say it feels like that, then I'm going to start my wraps right there, and it starts at the very base of the tail. So once I have that tied in, I'm going to grab my underbody, and what my underbody is just some flash. This is actually Christmas flash. I got it, it was on sale for 25 cents. Can't beat it, so I picked that up. So I'm just going to tie a green one here, and what I'm going to do is just tie in 2 pieces just in case one breaks and I get better coverage when I'm wrapping it up the hook. These ones are kind of weird. They're green on one side and blue on one side, so I'm going to tie the green facing towards the camera and the blue facing towards me. Now I'm just going to tie that in. I'm going to tie that in right down to where my tubing ends. Just going to smooth out that body there. As you can see, it's a pretty nice tapered body. Now I'm going to grab that flash and pull it over just like so. Now I'm just going to make some slightly overlapping wraps up the body here. Just a good idea to put 2 pieces of flash in there just in case your body's not totally smooth and you get the full coverage of the flash there. So I'm just going to bring it up to behind the bead, tie it off, cut out the excess. Now I'm going to grab that tubing, and I like to put a little bit of pressure on it. See, you can already tell it's playing with those tails in the back. So you want to try to get it so it's not. So I'm just going to put some pretty good pressure on it. Then I'm just going to touching wraps up the body. And what this is going to do is going to add a little bit of segmentation to it, as well as it's going to protect that flash. So when you get a fish, it's not going to rip that flash because flash is pretty delicate. So once you're up to behind the bead, you're just going to come in, pull on it a little bit, cut that out, and you shouldn't have too much of a tag. Now I'm just going to bring my thread back a bit where I'm going to tie in my wing case. And my wing case is actually some thin skin. This is just in a black. You can use flash if you want for it, but try to keep it relatively neutral. I don't want too much flash. So I'm just going to tie that right on top there, just like so. Now the dubbing that I'm going to be using for the Thorax is 2 dubbings. They're both ice dub. This is ice dub peacock black. This is ice dub caddis green. So what I'm going to do is just take a little pinch of the caddis green, take a little pinch of the black, put them in my finger, and just hand blend the dubbing here. So all I'm doing is kind of pulling them apart, almost like shuffling a deck of cards. So once that is mixed up relatively good, I'm going to double little noodle here. Start the thorax part here. Just making sure that thin skin is right on top. So I'm going to leave a little bit of room behind the eye, and this is where I'm going to tie in the leg section. And the legs are going to be the exact same pheasant tail, and I'm going to take about 6 to 8 for the leg section here. So I'm just going to tie in one at a time. Take a couple nice loose wraps. Get it where you want it, then just put one nice tight one there to hold it in place. And this is all personal preference too, as far as the length of these go. Before I used to like them really short, but lately I've been tying them a little bit longer, you can see there. I would say that they're about the size of the hook gap, maybe a little bit less. But before I used to tie them really short. But lately I've been tying them like this, and I've been fishing them a lot, and I've been really liking them. So I'm just going to put a little bit more of this dubbing in front of those legs there. All this is going to do is just kind of push them back a bit and hold them in place, just like so. Now you can grab your thin skin, pull that over, two nice wraps there. You can pull it up, cut that out, grab your whip finish tool. You can do a 4 or 5 turn whip finish. On this particular one I like to do 4 because I put a epoxy on it, so it's not going to go anywhere. So there you have it. It's pretty much done right now, but on all my flies I like to put the Loon Outdoors UV clear fly finish. It just makes them bomb proof with the tubing abdomen there. Then once you put a little bit of this on, these flies are going to last a long time. So I'm going to use a little bit of thick first. I'm just kind of warming it up in my hand so it comes out a little bit nicer. And what I like to do before I put this on, I like to actually kind of like push down and have a nice little flat surface, well, relatively flat, so it's not sticking up like a hump. So I'm just going to come in with this. Just fill that little gap between the bead, the wing case, and the thin skin. I'll grab my light, hit that for about 10 to 15 seconds. Then once that's done, I can actually come in with the thin and just give it a nice healthy coat there. Bodkin, move that around a bit so it's all covered and it's all sitting how you would want it to. Come with the light again, cure that. Make sure you get all edges and everything with the light. And there you have it. Nice little icy pheasant tail. Super durable. If you put the resin on it, and with the tubed body there, these are going to last a lot of fish. So you can get creative with them. You can tie them in that color, add them in the red. Then I think I have some pearl ones here. I'll show you what the pearl ones look like. I've been tying a lot of these. And that's just the all pearl. And I used a just the UV pearl dubbing, ice dub. So I hope you like today's video, guys. You can get creative with these. I really like the green ones just because it kind of represents some green caddis, which I'm going to be fishing early in the season. So that's why I've been tying these up. I'm waiting on these hooks, and I'm going to tie some smaller sizes. But if you guys have any questions about the fly or any of the materials, just drop it down in the comments. If you want, you can follow me on Instagram because I post all kinds of flies that I haven't done tutorials yet. So if you want to get a jump start and check out some of those, I'll leave the link in the description. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Till next time, take it easy.